What judgment would you make of me based on my outfit? If this was your first time seeing me, you might think I look like fun. You might infer that I'm an easy grader. How about now? I look much more serious, but maybe a bit boring. If you have poor eyesight, you might prefer the high contrast in my new outfit, but otherwise you probably think of me as simple or rigid. And now, perhaps I'm somewhere comfortably in between two extremes. Why is it that through the colors in my clothes, you can form such a firm judgment about me? Most people don't realize how much of an impact color has on how we understand the world around us. But professional designers are hyper-aware of how color affects our moods and our actions. Each color tends to be associated with different feelings, some positive and some negative. For instance, green might be associated with plant life and convey freshness and peace. Or it might be associated with sickness and convey uneasiness. Red is often considered a color of passion. Passionate anger because red is the color of hell, or passionate romance because red blood makes our cheeks blush. As you can see, colors don't have objective meaning, but context can sway the feelings your audience gets from them. Color is cultural. It has different meanings in different times and places. This visualization shows convective solar plasma just beneath the surface of our sun. Does the color design of this environment make it feel more romantic or hellish? Try to analyze what you feel when you watch it. When I watch this, I feel like I'm in an underground cave surrounded by fire. Now consider this visualization of two galaxies colliding. There's also quite a lot of red in this scene. Does it feel different from the previous visualization? To me, this scene feels more like a dance between partners. Not only are individual colors meaningful, but so too are color combinations. Those colliding galaxies were green and purple. But now let's consider the same colliding galaxy data colored blue and yellow. It suddenly feels less like cans of paint mixing and more like something we would actually see in the night sky. The combination of green and purple might make people think of Mardi Gras. The combination of red and blue is often used for opposite ends of a magnet. Understanding how to choose a palette of multiple colors is an important design skill. A common tool for understanding relationships between colors is the classic color wheel. Usually when people are talking about color combinations, they're referring to a color scheme where the primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. The colors between these primary colors are called secondary colors. Between red and yellow is orange, between yellow and blue is green, and between blue and red is purple. When working with paint, you can mix the primary colors to get the secondary colors. However, because we're working with computers, we can further divide the spaces between our primary and secondary colors to get this full rainbow spectrum. From here, we can select the colors we want to combine. One of the most common ways to select two colors that work well together is by choosing complementary colors. These are two colors that are in opposite positions on the color wheel. So for instance, red and green, or blue and orange. Complementary color combinations create a visual balance. They're considered cheerful and bold, but can also be considered too obvious. Blue and orange is a favorite complementary color combination of designers in Hollywood because it heightens the drama of the orange tones in the actor's skin. It is very common. Very, very common. Another example of a color combination scheme uses analogous colors. These are colors that sit next to each other on the color wheel, such as red, orange, and yellow. Together, these make a soft, non-offensive design that can feel harmonious, but can get visually boring. Analogous colors divide the color wheel into relative psychological temperature, where reds, oranges, and yellows are perceived as warmer than the opposite colors green, blue, and purple. Often, designers seek contrast in color temperature to create visual interest. There are many tools online that can help you choose color palettes for various purposes, and I recommend playing with some of them to understand what combinations appeal to you. How are they related? What do they remind you of? I've mostly been focusing on one aspect of color so far, which is called hue. You can think about hue as where on the rainbow the color falls. But there are two other pieces to every color: saturation and brightness, which have an effect on psychology as well. You might say saturation is how vibrant the color is. This is a fully saturated baboon. Fully saturated colors are exciting and attention-getting, but sometimes artificial and thought of as childish. A desaturated color is closer to gray, like what is happening to the baboon now. Desaturated colors can feel more natural and realistic, but sometimes feel lifeless or decayed. A color's brightness, or value, is how light or dark it is. Different colors on the color wheel actually, naturally have different brightnesses. For example, yellow is brighter than blue. Bright colors are light and optimistic, but high values can feel harsh. And as you remove brightness from a color, it gets darker and darker until it becomes black. Dark colors can feel mysterious, but sometimes they make details hard to distinguish. Contrast between color ranges is measured by the relative brightness of colors. When you squint your eyes, the brighter colors in a design will stand out clearly. Contrast can be used to draw your eyes to specific shapes. When working with video, it's also important to be aware that rapid changes in brightness can be disorienting because our pupils dilate quickly, which causes eye strain. Monochromatic color schemes combine colors that have the same hue but different brightnesses, like in this combination of colors going from pink to deep red. When you consume your own entertainment through movies and games, or when you see advertisements in the world around you, pay attention to what colors are being chosen and analyze why they're effective. Why is it that comedy movies are marketed with bright colors and thrillers are marketed with dark colors? Why is it that summer clothing is saturated and winter clothing is pale? You may start to notice another thing designers understand well. Different cultures assign different meanings to colors. Think about country flags, for instance. The flag of the United States uses the color red to symbolize bravery, but the flag of China uses the color red to symbolize revolution. In most cultures with cars, the colors red and green imply stop and go, but in places without roads, that meaning does not exist. Meanwhile, the combination of red and green in the Western world is highly associated with the Christian holiday of Christmas, but in the Eastern world, that same color combination is associated with Islam. Any analysis of color in society will inevitably touch on politics and history. For instance, why is it that we refer to skin colors as white and black when there are much more accurate words like brown, tan, and peach? It is no mistake that colonial cultures equated fair skin with the color white, which is often associated with purity, and dark skin with the color black, which is more often associated with fear. This use of color psychology has influenced racial attitudes for centuries. Understanding the cultural implications of your color choices can help you to avoid confusing and possibly even offending your audience. Temperature is an example of cultural confusion you might encounter more frequently in the context of science. Most people encounter temperature indicators in their home every day, on sink faucets or stovetops, and these label low temperatures with the color blue and high temperatures with the color red. Ice is blue and fire is red, so this makes intuitive sense. However, this common use of color temperature becomes problematic when we start mapping colors to extremely hot astronomical objects. Stars are one kind of black body object. These objects emit color according to this color chart. As you can see, the red and blue are exactly reversed from your faucet at home. As blackbody objects get hotter, they become less red and more blue. When visualizing blackbody objects, the color map chosen for astronomers might not be the same as the color map chosen for a non-expert. Knowing your audience is critical. We have to be careful not to confuse general audiences who might infer that a blue star is made of ice. This often means being very selective about what colors are shown in the final visualization. Color design is a means of communication. Bright colors draw attention to important details, and dark colors hide clutter. Familiar color associations are shorthand for connecting old knowledge to new concepts. Color mapping is a powerful tool that allows visualization designers to communicate science by highlighting features in the data and by referencing the shared cultural meaning of different colors. Fun fact: different cultures actually see colors differently. One study asked the Himba tribespeople of Nambia to select the differently colored square in each of these two circles. the people in the study were more easily able to identify the different color in the circle on the left. Can you find it? It's in the same place as the blue square in the circle on the right. Where different languages draw the line between adjacent colors is actually somewhat arbitrary, and the Himba language has a lot more distinctions for shades of green than we do in English. Some linguistic research suggests that color words emerge only when a culture has significant use for them. In Homer's Greek epic, The Odyssey, he frequently refers to the ocean as the color of wine and never uses the color blue at all. Since blue is a rare color in nature and difficult to make into an ink or a dye, we actually see a historical trend of it entering languages last of all the colors.